Dear students, now we are going to discuss next question. Do plants breathe? Go back to first question. What is breathing? How do organisms are able to get energy? What is the source of energy? So all these questions, they look disconnected, but definitely all these questions are linked with each other. So now the question is, do plants breathe? Yes, definitely. Breathing is required. What is breathing? Inhalation of oxygen, exhalation of CO2. Definitely. So in plants, breathing is present, no doubt. Yes, you can answer it. Yes, breathing is present. Breathing is present in plants. And what are the organs concerned with breathing? That is very, very important. So in plants, there is no specialized organ. There is no specialized organ and organ system for breathing. In the case of animals, specialized organs are present. Organ system is present to execute a breathing process. But what about in plants? No organ. No organ means there is no specialized organ for breathing. But how do plants are able to perform breathing? Definitely with the help of a certain number of structures. They're well known to you, stomata, lenticels. These are not parts. These are not organs. Just stoma is with a certain number of cells only. We should not consider stomata as part, just a structure with certain number of cells. Lenticel, it is not an organ, just with a certain number of cells. So they are concerned with breathing, exchange of gases. Stomata well known to you. Lenticel, what is lenticel? Lens-shaped opening present in the bark part of a stem after secondary growth. So these things are not only concerned with breathing, they promote transpiration also. Not only exchange of gases. And here I'm giving one more additional example. Nematophores, breathing roots. Nematophores. Go back to morphology. Nematophores, what are they? Respiratory roots. The term itself indicating that respiratory roots. Particularly in the case of mangroves, mangrove plants, Rhizophora, Avicennia. First year part, morphology. Root modification, modified roots. Concerned with the supply of oxygen or not? The term itself, respiratory roots. They're able to supply oxygen or not? Yeah, definitely. Breathing present or not? They're also called breathing roots. One more term, breathing roots. So definitely we can justify. Do plants breathe? Definitely, breathing is present. What is that breathing? Inhalation of oxygen. What is the purpose of inhalation of oxygen? To break a C bond C. So between carbon atoms, bonds are present. To break that bond, oxygen is required. Right? So definitely plants also with breathing. Okay, breathing is present, accepted. Now, what about a demand for oxygen? What about the requirement of a so-called one? So here, what about the height of the plant? Tall tree, for example, Sequoia giganteum, gymnosperm, Sequoia gymnosperms, tallest gymnosperm, and eucalyptus, tallest plant, around 100 meters, for example. So how do plants are able to maintain oxygen along the length of that plant without a system concerned with the exchange of gases? For example, this is a plant. For example only, this is the plant, tall tree, tall tree. So this one is a root system and tall tree root shoots remaining part. So for example, height of this one is, for example, only 100 meters. The given question is, even though the plant is without a organ and organ system concerned with the supply of oxygen, how do plant is able to maintain O2 along its length? So the given question is, how do plants maintain oxygen along the length of the body? For example, our body, myself, 6 feet in height. My body is getting, each and every cell present in my body is getting oxygen or not, because of respiratory system. So animals with complex body organization, with a respiratory system in place. So because of that organ and organ system, circulatory system, oxygen is distributed along the length of the body or not, as we are having so-called system. But what about this plant? 100 meters. How do that plant is able to maintain O2 requirement along its length without a respiratory organs? No respiratory system, no respiratory system. There is no particular respiratory system in so-called plants, but they're able to maintain O2 along the length. How? First one, answer is, this is the question. What are the answers? First answer is, what are the answers for this question? First one. So first answer is each and every plant part. Each and every plant part is able to look after its O2 requirement. See, for example, in our body, hand, is it able to look after its O2 requirement? Is it able to take up oxygen from the environment? No. Compulsory hand depends on oxygen available in the blood or not, with the help of lung or not. But see, each and every plant part is able to look after its O2 requirement. How? We will discuss that one. And second answer is, second one, the demand for oxygen. Demand for oxygen in plants is less. We will discuss. The demand for oxygen is in plants is very less. Third answer. Third answer. There is no long distance transport of oxygen. We'll discuss one by one. So each and every plant part is able to look after its O2 requirement. During photosynthesis, definitely O2 is released. That O2 is preserved, stored within the cells. Each and every plant part, maximum extent, particularly in the case of leaves. Okay, so each and every plant part is able to look after its O2 requirement. In the case of leaves, loosely packed parenchyma that is able to retain spongy parenchyma. Go back to anatomy. Spongy parenchyma, intracellular spaces that is able to maintain oxygen requirement or not? Definitely. Next, the demand for oxygen in plants is very less when compared with animals. Continuously, we are taking oxygen. Are you able to stop that breathing for more than 2-3 minutes? Stop it. No, we can't run our life. Definitely, we will die after. If you stay like that for half an hour, definitely we will die. Is it or not? But what about plant? It can survive without oxygen for a prolonged period. So rate of respiration in plants is very less. So that's why oxygen demand is very less. Next, each and every plant part is able to look after its O2 requirement. So that's why there is no long distance transport of oxygen. For example, xylem is able to absorb water, minerals from the soil. From there it is transported to shoot system or not. For that one, long distance transport is required. For food also, long distance transport is required. For what about oxygen? Long distance is not required. Reason, each and every plant part is able to look after oxygen requirement. And demand for oxygen is very less. Reason, rate of respiration is very less. So here, how each and every plant part is able to look after its O2 requirement. For example, take leaf. What about thickness of leaf? Very thin or not? So all these cells are in contact with the environment. So they can absorb and they can take up the oxygen from the environment or not. In the case of leaves, okay, it is acceptable as it is a thin walled with a thin layers of cells. Definitely all the cells present in leaf is able to get enough amount of oxygen. Moreover, oxygenic photosynthesis is taking place within the leaf. So because of that, the parenchyma, loosely packed parenchyma present in leaf, that is spongy parenchyma, is able to maintain required quantity of oxygen within it. So that is acceptable. But what about woody plants? Woody plants. In woody plants, a number of cells are inside. So how that woody stem is able to look after its O2 requirement? If you go back to anatomy, in woody stem, for example, this is the transverse section of a woody stem. Central part. The central part. What is the name of the central part? Duramen. Duramen or heartwood. Dead or not? For dead cells, oxygen is not required. Living cells are present at the peripheral region only, in the bark. Peripheral part or not? That is in contact with environment or not? Moreover, here and there, lens-shaped openings are present. What are they? They are the lenticels. Lenticels. Right? So that's why plants are able to maintain oxygen along their length, even though there is no respiratory system because of these reasons. Right? So, do plants breathe? Yes, breathing is present. But there is no long distance transport of oxygen because of all these things. Right? So, that is about do plants breathe?